The internet is dead and it is replaced by AI slop. Even if you can find anything about this game, it is overly verbose, yet it does not explain what and why. Usually, it is also incomplete, or outright wrong. Caesar 3 shares a lot of DNA with Caesar 2, just like cats share 90% of their DNA with humans. And Caesar 3 is as different from Caesar 2 as a human from a cat. These are two extremely different games. First of all, let's assume you procured the GOG version of the game. We will deal with their terrible DOS box setup later, as a bonus. Besides the very blurry graphics, the game just works. First, we start a new game. The difficulty selection influences not just the difficulty but the length of the campaign. Novice ends after 5 victories and can be done with only 1 housing block. Normal allows you to play every remaining province even after you've won the game by completing 10 provinces. Press campaign and yes. Start this game. Let's pick Campania as the first province. The city maps are randomly generated. The river is the most important part, so some people restart each province until they get a river shape they like. Caesar 2 is a spreadsheet game entirely focused on taxation. So, the first task is to get a lot of taxation fast. The taxes are collected from the people, so the more people you have and the richer they are, the more taxes you get. Unlike the later games, you absolutely do not care for the commoners, you do not tax them, you pay them to be invisible and fix everything. Everything in your city concerns only the rich, even if they live in huts. Press the pause button P. Press zoom out. The slides in this video are for illustration purposes only, the actual magic will happen when we will resume the game. Roads are for the poor, we use plaza in the housing blocks. You can't put it over the roads, that's why it's cheaper to invest from the start. They also provide culture. Though, you can't build aqueducts over a plaza. Amenities. Plaza. Find a decently flat space along the river and put a 8x11 rectangular plaza road 4 tiles away from everything. The size is precise because going even 1 tile longer means you need duplicate buildings for full coverage. It's not the perfect optimized loop, but it is the easiest and the most stable one. The plaza is built in area and there's no undo button. Be very careful not to fill the whole rectangle, you won't get your money back. Now press housing. Put 4 rows of houses on the side opposite to the river. We got 1 huts and huts don't pay much. At best they can turn into 2 hutses. The 3 huts level of housing demands a water source. We are skipping wells because we will have to build fountains anyway. First, we need to build a reservoir. Water. Reservoir. Switch the overlay to water and build a reservoir near the river so it would cover 2 inside rows of the loop when you press the button with RYB. Reservoir is considered to be full only when it touches the river with its side. If you need water somewhere far away from the river, you can connect 2 reservoirs with aqueducts. Water. Aqueduct. Water fountains have an area of effect and have to be built on top of the piping system. Water. Fountain. We build 1 on each side of the block, on top of the piping, so they will cover the houses. Fountains are operated by plebs, so they will not get the workforce from these hut-dwelling rich people. Open your forum, press the plebs button. The size of the salary pool determines how many plebs are working in this province. They take some time to report to work, so we will increase the salary pool to 15 for now. If you have idle plebs, add them to the city water. Press RMB to return to the city. With water we have 3 hutses and communal hutses. The large communal hut demands access to a forum. Forums serve as tax collectors, they increase the desirability level around them, and they act as teleportation gates for services. Forums. Aventine. Build a forum in the inner corner. We got large communal huts, primitive houses and simple houses. Small houses demand a road and a market. Instead of the road we already built plazas. The market generates walkers to extend its influence, so it needs road access. Their range is not that good. Press industry. Market. And put a market 1 tile away from the corner. Markets generate negative desirability nearby, so we put it 3 tiles away from the housing. Average houses want better watering, and we already made the fountains. Improved houses want baths. Baths must be built over the piping. Baths work in an area, and they automatically upgrade with increased land value. Sanitation. Bath. Build it 2 tiles away from the forum. Large houses, grand houses want entertainment. Entertainment. Theatre. Theatres work off-road and have an area of effect. Build 1 to the left of the baths. You can open the entertainment overlay and press RYB to see the coverage. Primitive insulas, simple insulas and small insulas demand internal security. Internal security can be generated by walkers from barracks, but they are very undesirable. It also can be generated by walkers from small prefectures. Security. Prefecture. Build one behind the market and connect it to the loop with a road. Prefectures have negative desirability, so that's why we hit it 4 tiles away from the housing. Average insulas demand hospital coverage. Hospitals cover a set number of citizens. If the sum of all the hospitals is bigger than the number of citizens, all the housing benefits from it, as long as the hospitals are connected to the foreign teleportation network. Full coverage boosts the culture metric. Sanitation. Hospital. The hospitals don't have to be on the loop, but they increase the land value, so for the first housing block we put a hospital 3 tiles away from the market. Improved insulas demand more entertainment. Not just bigger coverage, but different types. Entertainment. Circus. The circus is rectangular. You can't rotate the building, but you can rotate the whole city. Put a circus near the road on the housing side 1 tile away from the corner. Large insulas, grand insulas, imperial insulas, simple domuses want grammaticus. Grammaticus is an off-road area of effect building, which also increases land value. Education. Grammaticus. Build one to the right of the baths. Small domuses and average domuses demand walls around the city. When you build walls, they will demand more plebs to work them. They also generate negative desirability and take a whole year before they start working. If you have infinite money, you can wall off the entire perimeter of the city. If you don't have bridges, the river counts as a free wall. Since the final shape of the wall depends on the river shape you've got, you have to adapt. Security. Wall. Start the wall behind the prefecture, connect it to the river. Leave 4 tiles around the plaza empty and make a corner. Leave 15 tiles behind the circus empty and make a corner. Now connect to the river. Make another corner a bit farther away if needed. We've built all the available housing-related buildings for now. So, we need to create a cash stash. In Caesar II, religion is not an opium for the people, it's hard cash. The religious buildings are used only to store the city funds, boost culture, and drive up land values. Worship. Basilica. Build a basilica near the fountain. Worship. Shrine. Put a shrine in the empty square to drive up the land value a bit. A basilica protects only $5,000 of the city savings. So, you will need to add another one for each $5,000 you've accumulated. The space on the loops can run out or it can be used in a better way. You don't always have enough cash to create an entire new loop, just to increase your cash stash. So, we need another block type to dump the global buildings onto. Create several tiles of road on an empty space in the city. Put a prefecture near it. Connect the Wall Street to your city through the foreign teleportation network. Right now, we don't have spare cash to require more religion, but when the game starts running, the population will go over 1,000, so put a second hospital on the Wall Street. Press hit P to resume the game. In the top panel there's Speed menu. Press a game speed and increase it to 10. Now wait for the game to say that plebs are needed and adjust the values in the forum. When your population reaches a threshold, the game will allow you to build Odeum. It's the same theater, but with an increased range. Our current Tier 1 entertainment coverage is already perfect, so we don't need to replace the theater. If you find the game to be painfully slow at speed 10, hold Alt plus F12 to speed it up, but keep an eye on the plebs. Increasing the CPU cycles in DOS box influences only some of the animations, so Alt plus F12 is the only way to speed the game up. There's also the accelerated time mode. It's on the hotkey A. It forwards you to your next salary in January, but you don't see the city itself and can't react. I also don't trust it to upgrade the housing properly and on time. Use it when your city is stable. Right now, we have to keep an eye on plebs anyway. The next population threshold allows you to build a library. Improved domuses demand both a library and a rector. Education. Library. Build one on the loop. Libraries work like hospitals, either they have the perfect global coverage or they don't. So, build the second one on the Wall Street. Rector is an area of effect educational building that influences culture and land value. Education. Rector. Build one between the first hospital and the market. You are billed monthly, but you get paid only in January. Fast forward a couple of years to get some funds. Large domuses demand 3 types of entertainment. Entertainment. Arena. Build an arena near the circus. Grand
domus,
simple villas, small villas, improved villas, grand villas demand a perfect hospital coverage, which we already provided. You can check the status by pressing RMB on a building and selecting the Looking Glass tab. Small palaces and large palaces demand a perfect library coverage, which was also provided. When you unlock the Janiculum Forum, put it near the loop to boost the land value. Forums. Janiculum. The first taxation loop is now complete. It's not perfectly optimized, but it generated much more taxes than any unfinished draft of an optimal loop. There are 3 more unlockable buildings in the game. With a bigger population, you unlock Palatine Forum. It's a 4x4 building with 5 tiles of area of effect, and it generates 3 walkers. Forums. Palatine. At 2500 population, you unlock Colosseum. Entertainment. Colosseum. It's an upgraded arena. At 5000 population, you unlock Circus Maximus. Entertainment. Circus Maximus. It's an improved circus, but it takes up more space. Forum. Oracle. Shows you the metrics you have to reach to win in the current province. Culture represents the coverage your services have, and we already have perfect coverage. The culture rating can be limited by population. Prosperity is mostly concerned with profits. Go positive in January and it grows. Peace just takes time. The only way to speed it up is to conquer something. Empire grows with your network of roads, RMB. So now press the Go to Province button. Press RMB on the dirt smidges on the map to see what they are. Find Roman towns, border towns, barbarian towns, and remember their positions. Now press roads and build one connecting the border and the Roman towns to yours. Security. Cohort fort. Build a fort for your soldiers. Forum. Centurion. Increase monthly wages to get soldiers. You don't need many soldiers in starting provinces. If you've unlocked the final forum, put it on the loop too. Forums. Palatine. When you get enough soldiers, it's time to start a war in the name of peace. Click the cohort fort. Press in movement route, put the waypoints. Each section is of a limited length, just like roads and walls. When you reach the target village, double-click it. If you need to boost the number of your soldiers fast, in some provinces you can hire auxiliaries in Forum. Centurion. Don't forget to unhire them after you did what you wanted. If you are attacked first, your cohort will intercept the barbarians. If it's too small and you need some time, you can spend money to delay the attackers. Build an unfinished wall around your city so they will go towards the opening. You can close it and make another on the opposite side. The battle screen is DOST bad. The city screen GUI is decent enough that it survived until the Emperor. The battle GUI is all nonsensical pictures. If you press it help, it contains no pictures and pretends that their choice of names is self-obvious. The controls are very unresponsive. You can click on a unit until you see the yellow rectangles, pick one of the 4 formations, and change its starting position. To start the battle, you have to press the red flag. Yes. To move a unit, you have to click it until you see the yellow rectangles, then press Dude with an arrow. Then pick the destination. If you have ranged soldiers, which you have to know beforehand, you can select them and press the Bowman button. The Rabbit is speed up. Those selected dudes button is select all. Running guy is not run, but run away. Shrug is surrender. Why games need both surrender and run away, I don't know. Never saw a game where they offer a different result. The PC button is an auto battle. It's better to have more soldiers and just use the auto battle button on the global map. This is no Age of Empires. You can't use 10 archers to kite and annihilate 100 swordsmen. The medkit button is help, which is not helpful.
Your troops are victorious.
If the invading force is too strong, you can try to wait until they take over some small town. The occupying force will be much smaller than the roaming one. You can even allow them to go into your city if you have good defenses. The invaders will be considered a riot and will be put down by the cops, or even by the soldiers if you have any. When you have no more villages to conquer, idle until you meet the metrics required by the Oracle. Keep an eye on your housing so it won't degrade. Now you've won your first province, accept the promotion. If you are playing on novice, repeat that 5 times. If you are playing on normal and above, you can see that while you've won 1 province, Pompus Maximus took 2. And this is where the game of Imperial not it begins. It is possible that the bot who takes 2 turns in a row can take the best pieces of the map, but you can save the game often and reload each time the game tells you that the bot got a province. It's randomized so you can force the bot to take the worst provinces, filled with the dirty dangerous Anglo-Saxons. There's even the autosave file lastyear.sav. The bot is literally cheating and takes 2 turns in a row, so don't let it take the best provinces. Now pick your next province. Save into a new file, there's no restart button. If you got an Ultra Nightmare River, after making that save, load the lastyear.sav and pick again until you get a decent one. Now press EP. Go to a forum. Personal. Here you can see how much you've carried with you from the previous province. You can also set how much you pay yourself from the city funds. Your personal money can be injected back into the city, or you can send some to the emperor in forum. Rome. But why? If you've brought a lot of your own money, you can inject the sum into the city and start with your own optimized housing blocks. If not, recreate the taxation block again. It's better to set your salary to 0 while your city is still unstable. Once you get a real surplus of money, get yourself a high salary to carry some of the riches to your next city. Once you get some meaningful savings, Caesar will start taxing you personally. Create a stable taxation loop again. On the normal difficulty and above, the emperor can demand goods from you. To fulfill the request, you have to go to the provincial level and find a resource node that supports the requested goods. Brown 2x2 squares support farms producing cattle, grapes, wheat, wool. Grey 2x2 squares support mines producing lead, copper, iron, gems, and quarries producing stone, marble, clay, sand. The border towns can offer any of these resources, and they are the exclusive source of ivory and silk. Fish is produced by the port when facing the local waters. Consult with the merchant of forum. Merchant. To see what your province, each of the border towns, and the sea trade routes offer. Press industry. And pick the necessary resource building, add a warehouse, add a working camp, assign plebs to it. The game usually offers you to build them automatically. You can find them in industry, warehouse, and industry. Work camp. The industry is just not too profitable, but it is a decent choice for the second city block to lower the unemployment a bit. It's a bit fiddly to set up. Industries need some workforce in the vicinity, but they have a very strong negative desirability. The worker housing should be not too far away but not too close either. To get an industrial block running, go to the city, start a new housing loop. You can use the already existing entertainment amenities and build the houses near them. Add a market and a prefecture, connect it to the forum teleportation network. Put one of each refineries on the loop. Industry. Goods name %. Now you can tax the businesses too. You can improve the housing a bit to get more taxes. The business district works on the variety of goods. The industry refines the raw materials from the province, the markets pick them up. You can't saturate your resource nodes with just internal use, and since you can't have everything in your province, you can trade. To set up trade, build the trading posts near the border towns and add a warehouse. Build ports vaguely facing the white arrows on the map's borders. Port. Add shipyards near them to improve the trade. Industry. Shipyard. On the city level, add refineries to the industrial block to match all the resources extracted or traded on the provincial level. With 2 blocks you can have enough population for the Colosseum. It's an upgraded arena, it offers entertainment type 2 and increases culture and land value. Don't forget to keep up the perfect coverage with hospitals and libraries or your tax block will degrade. By the 3rd province you can notice sudden unexplained land value dips. This is not actually related to the land value. Check your population growth rate and your unemployment. One can be seen in the magnifying glass tab, the other in the treasurer tab. If your unemployment rises, your tax loops can degrade. The industrial block in Caesar 2 doesn't provide much more employment than the employees it creates. The consensus is to multiply redoors when you have cash, since they require fewer plebs but employ many people. That's about all there is. The combat difficulty increases the farther away you are from Roma. Pompus Maximus will be stealing 2 provinces for every one you develop. When you finish enough provinces, you will see the ending cutscene, the same one you can achieve by playing on Novice. Now we return to setting up the DOSBox. If you want better graphics quality, DOSBox and its GOG configs just work, but they work only as much as they do. GOG uses DOSBox 0.74-2. The latest stable DOSBox release is DOSBox 0.74-3 and it is from 2019. You do not need infinite growth and unending useless updates that move one button around if the program just works. I am using Winamp 5.6.6.3516 and I haven't found an .mp3 file it cannot play. But the thing is, DOSBox doesn't work perfectly, especially the older one. If you install XCOM 3 it will not work until you update to the newest DOSBox 0.74-3. Many GOG configs have 3D games running on archaic virtual machines released decades before the games GOG sells you. So, you must increase the cycles and switch the modes to have the game run at a decent frame rate. And then all the mainline DOSBox versions are very blurry when played full screen. That's after you disable the Instagram filters enabled by GOG. So, the first task is to install DOSBox staging. It is a DOSBox 4 created to increase the number of Instagram filters and use the worst ones you can imagine by default. But if you disable all the filters manually, it will run with crispy graphics in full screen unlike DOSBox. After you've installed it, we need to find the conf file. Maybe that is the reason why GOG uses the older version of DOSBox. DOSBox staging is built upon the newer version and it ignores configs inside its folder. It creates a new global config and hides it somewhere no one will look. GOG assumes you will install several games each of which needs a dedicated conf file, so I'll assume that is the reason. Open a folder input %appdata% into the address bar and press enter. Now press the address bar until you can edit the address. Delete roaming and input local /DOSBox, press enter. You should be inside the folder with the file called dosboxstaging.conf. Open it with a notepad. For some reason DOSBox staging can decide to switch your language from English to whatever it wants. Press Ctrl+F. And input language, press enter 3 times. You should see the language parameter, change it to E and press Ctrl+S. Launch DOSBox staging and check that it's in English. Now find the output parameter. Change the value from OpenGL to textureEnd. Find GL shader, replace CRT auto or whatever it has with nearest. Find composite, replace with off. That should be enough to get a proper crispy original image as it was in 1996 with no Instagram filters or AI slop. Now to make the game run on the new emulator. Assuming you've bought the game on GOG, open GOG Launcher or GOG Galaxy or whatever they call the purple bunghole these days. Press the Lulia Kebabs button, Manage Installation, Show Folder. Select all files in your DOSBox staging folder by pressing Ctrl+A. Then press Ctrl+C. Switch to the window with the game, press Ctrl+V. Replace the files. Now press Ctrl+F, input launch, press enter. You will see the link, press RMB. Properties. Open the Shortcut tab. Copy the text from Target field into Notepad. Replace this with this. Put the string back to the Target field and press OK. Now that shortcut will launch the game with the original crispy graphics. Copy it to a convenient folder or to the desktop. Now when you launch the game with it you can maximize the window or you can press Alt+Enter.